Hello and welcome to my channel. I'm Akram and watching Knowledge 360. In the previous video, we discussed about window functions in PostgreSQL database, and in this video, we'll discuss about select list in PostgreSQL. So select list is a part of select statement that determines what data you actually see as output. So in this video, we'll cover how to select the columns, use expressions, rename outputs, use aliases, eliminate duplicates, and so on. So for that, let's set up the example. So for that, we are creating two tables, departments and employees, and we insert some basic data into those tables. So the data setup is completed. Now let's see one basic select list usage. The simplest select statement contains the asterisk which retrieves all the columns from the table. So for example, we can select like this, select star from employees. So this will retrieve all the columns from the employees table with all the data, since we don't have any where clause condition or filter. So this is how we got the output, but we can specify the specific column names that we need from the output. So in this case, we can specify like first name, last name, and salary from employees. So this will retrieve all the record from the employees, but with these three columns instead of all the columns, that five columns are present. So here we can see that data are written from the employees table but with the three columns. Also, we can use the table aliases for clarity and removing the ambiguity when we write the query. Writing AS before the alias name, it improves the readability. This is not compulsory, but it is recommended to use it. So let's see how we can use the alias name to get the output. So in this case, we are using the alias name as E for employees, so that the query should be shorter. So in this case, we are taking E dot first name and E dot last name. E means employees. So let's execute the query and see the output. Two columns should be returned. Yes, so this is the output. So from the employees table, we have returned two columns using the alias name of the table employees. Now let's see how we can work with multiple tables. When working with joins, we can select all the columns from one table or specific table, or both the tables or multiple tables. So while we do so, we use a join. So here we have using the join as department with the employee, and the join is done on the department ID of both the tables. And in the output, we are selecting D dot star. D means here department, because we have given the alias name D to the departments table and E to the employees table. So we are taking all the columns from the department table and then two columns from the employee table, that is first name and salary. So let's execute the query and see the output. So the data is returned and we can see the output, department ID and department name. These columns are from the departments table, and first name and salary, they are from employees table. Now let's see how we can use expressions in select list. We can compute new values using the arithmetic or string operations right in the select list itself. So for example, in this query, we are writing first name, last name, salary, and also we are calculating the bonus as 10% of the salary. So this expression is done right here in the query itself. So let's execute the query and see the output. So here is the output, and we can see that the first name, last name, and salary is written, and also we have calculated the bonus. So we can see the bonus is 10% of the salary. Also in PostgreSQL, it is possible to use the expressions and not using the columns. So in this case, we are taking the expressions, that is 1 plus 2 as result, and string hello as a string as greeting. But here you can see that we haven't used any columns from a table, or either we haven't mentioned any from clause. So this is also possible using the PostgreSQL. So we can see the output like this. Result is returned as 3 because it is calculated 1 plus 2, and the hello string is also returned. Now let's see an example of column labels or column aliases. We can rename the columns in the output using AS to make them more readable and avoid conflict. As I told that we can mention it or we can avoid it, this is optional, but this is recommended, so it improves the readability of the query. So in this case, what we are doing, we are concatenating the first name with the last name using the pipe operator. As full name, we have given the alias, and also we are calculating the raised salary. The raised salary would be the 10% on the original salary. So let's execute the query to see the output. So here is the output. We can see that full name is returned, Akram, Sohail, and for other employees as well, and the raised salary is the 88,000, 66,000, and so on. So this is how we can give the column aliases in the select list. Now let's see how we can avoid keyword conflicts using the AS or the quotes. So in this case, we are selecting the data as first name and we are giving the alias name as from. As we know, the from keyword is a reserved keyword and we cannot use for any other purposes, but we still can use it within the double quote. So let's execute the query to see the result. So we have written the result like this. The column name is written from and these are the names. Similar thing we can do like this, but we can also avoid the double quote and here we can mention from underscore alias. So this is more readable and we can see that the data is written. And also, for example, we can use the sum. Sum, we know this is a function, built-in function in PostgreSQL, but still we can use it as a column name, but we need to specify within the double quotes. So let's execute the query to see the salary output. So this is how the data are returned. Now let's discuss about distinct and distinct on. We use distinct to eliminate duplicate records or distinct on to keep only one record per group of duplicates. So for example, we can use the distinct on department ID employees. Only the distinct department IDs will be returned from the employees table. So we can see 3, 2, 1 are returned. But in fact, if we write it without distinct, we can see 4 records will be returned. 4 records we got here, 1, 1. That means there are 2 employees with department ID 1 and then 2 and then 3. Now let's see distinct on example. So when we use the distinct on and we need to mention the column name or column list of columns, so that will be the distinctly identified. So for example, we have mentioned here one column department ID, first name, first name and salary. So that means all the records will be returned from the employees table, but if there is any repetitive department, only one record will be returned from that department ID employee. And how that can be calculated? That can be calculated like this: order by department ID and then first name. So let's execute the query and see the output. We can understand better. So here we can see that we have got only one record for the employee Akram with the department ID 1, but we know there are 2 employees with department ID 1. So how the Akram was selected? So this was selected on the basis of order by. This works similar to the row num or row number function where we sort the record to eliminate the duplicate one using the row num function or dense rank or other options we have. Now let's see some additional tips for best practices. So let's see how we can write the subqueries in select list. So this is an example of subqueries writing in select list. So here we are taking first name, last name and then count of the employees working in the same department. So let's execute the query to see the output. So this is the output returned and we know Akram is working on department ID 1 and there are 2 employees that work on the department ID 1. So James also same. So they are working in the same department, and Carol and Dave, they have only one department employee. Now let's see an example of functions in select list. So we can use function in select list. It can be complex function or it can be built-in functions. So we can use it always in the select list. But the thing is it should return only one singular value. So in this case we are using first name, last name, then upper of last name. So the last name will be changed into uppercase and the length of the first name. So let's execute the query to see the output. So this is the output. We have written first name, last name and then uppercase, the last name in the uppercase and the length of the first name. So this is how we can use the functions in select list. Now let's see an example of aggregate function in select list. So we can use the aggregate functions in select list. Here we are counting the total employees and taking average salary for employees and the max salary of the employees. So let's execute the query to see the output. So the output is written in one record. So total employees are 4. The average salary is this one and the highest salary is this is. So this is how we can use the aggregate functions in select lists. Now let's see an example of case expressions. So in this video we are just seeing an example, but in upcoming videos we will discuss case statement in details. So in this case we are using first name, last name, salary and then we are giving one salary band. So that means whatever the salary is more than this amount, it will be high. The salary between 50,000 to 70,000, it will be treated as medium, and the otherwise the salary will be of low band. So this is how we can use the case statement in PostgreSQL select list. So let's execute the query to see the output. So this is the output returned. So we can see that employee are with high salary band and medium salary band and also low salary band. So this is how we can use the case expression in select list. Now let's see an example of JSON and arrays. We know JSON is by default supported in PostgreSQL. So in this case, we are using one function row to JSON. Going forward, we'll see JSON and arrays in details. In this video, we are just seeing an example. So in this case, we are taking the record from the employees table in the subquery where we are using first name, last name and salary, and we are giving one alias name as E to the subquery, and we are converting the data into the JSON format. So let's execute the query to see the output. So here we can see see that we have got the employees data in the JSON format. So JSON format is the format that stores the values in key value format. So first name is the key, the value is Akram, last name is the key, the value is Sohail, and salary is the key and the value is 80,000. So this is how we can use the JSON in the select list of PostgreSQL. Now let's see an example of array in select list. So in this case we are using the function array aggregation, where we are providing the column salary and we have given the alias to the output as salary array. So in this case the salary will be converted into the array. So let's execute the query to see the output. So here we can see the output is like this. It is printed in an array function and we can see the list of salary are stored here in this output. So this is how we can use the array in select list in PostgreSQL. Now let's see an example of limit and offset. So limit and offset are used to limit the number of record that we want in the output. So in this case we can return all the record, but we are limiting the record till 3. So and how we are deciding which 3 records will be coming in the output? So we are doing the order by on the salary. So let's execute the query to see the output. So this is how topmost salaried employees are returned using limit. And similarly we can use the offset as well along with limit. So let's execute the query and see the output. So this is how offset work. So in this output we get only one record. In PostgreSQL, it is possible to write the select statement without any from clause. If you know, in Oracle database we need to provide the from dual keyword whenever we write a query. So in this case that is not needed in PostgreSQL. We can write the select statement without any from clause. So in this case we are calculating one expression, that is 2 plus 3 as result, and in the next example we are getting the now function as the current time. So here let's execute the query to see the outputs. So here we can see that result is returned as 5 as expression is calculated to be, and also we can use the now function to get the current timestamp. So here we can see the current timestamp is returned. So this is how we can write the select statement without from clause. Now let's see one simple example of common table expressions, that is CTEs. CTE is very powerful tool and we'll discuss this in upcoming video in details, but let's see an example in this video. So how CTEs work? As we know, CTEs starts with the clause with and then the alias name to the inner query. So the inner query evaluates employees with salary more than 60,000. So let's execute the query to see the output. So here we can see that only one record is returned which satisfies the condition, and also we can write like this. So in this case we are getting all the columns data, but we can change the column name and specify specific column that we want in the final result. So let's execute the complete query to see the output. So this is how the common table expressions work, and we'll see these common table expressions in more details in upcoming videos. So the conclusion is, use aliases as for clarity and to avoid the ambiguity, and avoid using the select star in production environment. Use distinct lesser, group by is often better, and subqueries and case offer advanced control. PostgreSQL supports JSON, arrays and CTEs out of the box. So this was all about the select list in PostgreSQL database. If the video was helpful, do like the video and subscribe the channel to get the notifications for upcoming videos. In the next video, we'll discuss about combining queries in PostgreSQL database, and there we'll discuss about union, intersect and except. So let's meet in the next video. Till then, take care. Bye bye.